Hi everyone, welcome back to Success Video Asia. So sorry for the technical issue. I'm having an extreme lag today. If you can see, I'm like, what is this called? Slow motion matrix. All right. Yeah, but yes, welcome back. I hope all of you can hear me loud and clear. Today we are very blessed. I mean, yesterday we had our guest that came in to talk about pets anxiety and stuff. And today we have a very great and known counselor. All right, he runs a platform called Listen Without Prejudice. Right, so his name is James Leong, and James Leong has a very strong belief that in this current pandemic situation, there is something that all of us need to take note, and that is our psychological barrier or mental well-being. And without further ado, let us welcome James Leong onto our stage.
Hi, Desmond. Good to
Yeah, so sorry, the first time. Yes?
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So sorry, the first time you come onto our show, and then we have a technical error. Everything hung on my laptop, on my screen, and everything. Yeah, and then after that we have a matrix. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, I think I'm not the best person to actually do the introduction for you, because you are the best person to actually intro yourself to the viewers. Let the viewers know who you are, what do you do, and the NGOs that you have been helping and stuff like this. All right. Yeah. Over to you, James.
All right, I'll try my best. Thank you, everyone, and it's good to see you all here. I'm an independent counselor, and my business is called Listen Without Prejudice. And my aim of this counseling practice is to address the fear, the unspoken fears of a society, and the desperate need to belong. My practice is really aims to give witness and make sense of the pain and the disconnect that we all feel. And I try to do this by authenticity, raising self-awareness, and also, most importantly, empathy. But my background really is that of a media consultant. I run my own public relations consultancy. I started my career helping a lot of hotels, tennis tournaments, and even Serena Williams. I did a lot of F&B restaurants. I launched Michelin-star restaurants and menus. But
wow,
Desmond, in the last few years, I realized that helping the rich and the famous is all fun and that's great and all, but you got to find some purpose in your life at some point. And that's when I decided to turn my PR business and started to focus on the NGOs. And I help different charities. I help with international NGOs. And then I also decided to kind of get a master's in my counseling to enhance my PR practice. So really, right now, I'm a media consultant for the NGOs, the social service sector, including the mental health industry. And I'm also an independent counselor. And we are living in very, very pressing times now, Desmond. The pandemic has really questioned our sense of emotional well-being. So I'm very happy, and I think that the viewers out there will be interested to hear what we have to say about coping with this anxiety.
Yes. Wow, you have a very vast background of the versatile background of different things that you actually do. I think sidestep a bit. I'm very curious about you helping the F&B and stuff. So you help them grow their business, build their business, is it?
That's right. So I launched restaurants. I invite the media to try their food. I had to represent chefs that fly in from Paris, 3 Michelin-star restaurants, to fly to Singapore, and you're talking about dinners that cost as much as $2,000 per head. So I've done a lot of that glitzy and glamorous kinds of things, and that's really fun. But F&B was really my forte when I started, and I also was a food journalist a long time ago. Go to restaurants and review food incognito and rate the restaurants.
Wow. Okay. Oh, really very interesting. I think I would find our own time to actually know more about all this. I think there's so much more I want to ask you. Yeah, but I will not take the time off from the viewers. And something very important that we want to address today, like what James has mentioned, is actually the mental well-being of the people around the world, in Singapore, in Asia, wherever you are, during this COVID-19 pandemic situation. So the first question that I will have for you is, what thoughts do you have for the current pandemic situation, COVID-19 pandemic situation?
Well, I think in my capacity, and I'll answer that question in my capacity as an independent counselor. And what that means is that because I'm independent, my observations are based on my experiences with my clients. They're also based on what I see with my own eyes, my ears, and what's happening on the ground, and also based on what I read. So I think how we are responding to this pandemic crisis, we are all really grieving. That's when we're all grieving over the loss of the way of life, our life, the loss of our jobs, what those jobs mean to us, the meaning of those jobs that mean to us. Oh, those jobs are gone. And some jobs might even come back post-COVID-19. So we are already dealing with a great sense of loss. And this loss is something that we have never experienced before because it came so fast and it came so hard. And let me give you one example of what I mean by grieving. Okay. When I say grieving, we're not just talking about people dying. We're talking about losing things that are dear to us. So when I say a self-employed person who runs a restaurant, a cafe, and he poured his whole heart out and his own business and his savings into the restaurant, so he could sacrifice his holidays, his condominiums. He could build something that he always wanted to build since he was young. And now he has 3 mouths to feed and a family to raise. And now with all the savings that had gone into this little cafe of his, is maybe gone, and he's never even going to get it back because there's no way he's going to pay the rent. There's no way he's going to pay the salaries of his staff. So we're not just talking about the loss of a job and loss of income. We're talking about the loss, the grieving, the loss of things that are very valuable and meaningful to us. So this is an example of how the COVID-19 virus is not just taking away and affecting us economically, it's also affecting us psychologically.
Right. So a lot of us, when we use the word grief, we oftenly relate it to the loss of the lives of people close to us, around us. But actually, the word grief, or when we grieve, it comes natural even when we lose something that is precious to us. It could be our habit, it could be our jobs, it could be things that are non-living things. Am I right to say that?
So we are grieving the things that are meaningful to us. So these meanings could take the form of our jobs, our relationships, or even the things we possess. But I think more importantly, what I want to say is that because this pandemic is so destructive, it's affected all levels of society, not just our jobs, but also our relationships. The stay-at-home notices, when we are forced to live with people that we don't always like and can endure for such a long time, it's also affecting our relationships. So we're also grieving a bit of that lost relationships. So this pandemic, COVID-19, is really not just affecting our health or even literally killing us. It is making us lose things and grieving in a way that we never grieved before.
Right. So now you are on board of Resilience series. So one thing that I would like to hear from you will be, in this time of crisis, in this kind of situation where we are grieving for the small little things or the big things that is always around us, but resilience is something that everyone is oftenly coming out from everyone. Even for our show, it's called Resilience series. But how do we stay resilient, or how is your term for resilience?
How do we stay resilient? First of all, let's define resilience. Yeah? I think to me, resilience is the ability to adapt to changes. Okay, it's the ability to bounce back and to adapt and accommodate to new situations or new events in your life that you never had to accommodate before. Would you agree with that definition of resilience?
Yeah, in a way, yes.
So how do we adapt to resilience? So your question is, are we resilient? Is that your question?
I think that is always the question that's been throwing around. Are you resilient enough? Are you able to hang on to whatever that is around you in the tight situation, feeling positive, staying there and not feeling down or giving up. I think that's what a lot of laymen has been feeling.
Yeah. So resilience is a word that's been thrown around a lot. It's almost a bit of a cliche. And I think that we have to be careful when we use these words resilient, because you can't use the word resilient without acknowledging the context of what's happening in our lives. Let me give you an example. So someone who's really mentally not well and he's suffering serious depression and anxiety.
Yep.
Also suffering fear, and this fear paralyzes you into inaction. So if you tell him, for example, Adam, who's suffering from depression and anxiety, because he lost his cafe that he built over a period of 5 years, and you say, hey, Adam, you need to be resilient. I don't think that's going to work for him because he's so affected by the loss of his income, his restaurant, his value system, and he's grieving. And not only is he grieving, he's also suffering from depression and maybe even anxiety at the same time. So when you just tell him to be resilient in such a horrible downtime, it is just not possible. So I think we have to look at the context of the situation and say, what do I need to be resilient? And also the second question is that, is there another time to be resilient? Is there a time to really embrace your sorrow, to really accept your grief and go through it as opposed to getting over it?
So we need to go through it rather than thinking about getting over it. Because it's like
so
over and done, right?
The word resilient gives the connotation that you have to kind of maybe even snap out of it and, bounce back as soon as you can because life is not going to wait for you. But the truth is, sometimes we just can't. It's not possible for us to bounce back because we are so laden with depression and so overwhelmed with the situation. We just cannot. And we have to give our permission to say, I really can't today. I really can't tomorrow. Maybe next week, maybe next month, but please give me the time and allow myself to go through this first.
Right. Speaking about going through, how anxiety or that leads to depression or something like that. But the main thing is that anxiety, how can we identify how many types of anxiety are there that actually exist?
Well, I think let's first of all define the word anxiety. Anxiety is also a word that we kind of throw around a lot. And I think Singaporeans are not very good at confronting their vulnerabilities. So anxiety, the definition is really the prolonged, the anticipated fear of danger, of an event that has not happened yet. It's anticipation of fear is usually accompanied with ruminations of the mind. You're ruminating the past, you're ruminating the future, but you're not even focusing on the present. So when you combine the anticipation of danger that you're going to be part of with rumination, and you combine it together, it's really a bit of a recipe for a disaster. So that's really the definition of anxiety. And the reason why it's important to define what anxiety is because you cannot make light of it. It's actually a very serious illness. And even if it's not an illness, it's something you must pay attention to. Now, Singaporeans, how do they kind of skirt around anxiety? They like to use the word, don't stress lah. Don't stress. Or they like to say, you're such a kanchong spider,
Right.
You say, relax. Now, when you use these terms, you kind of make light of it. You make it trivial, but these emotions, such as anxiety, can escalate to a point where you do need medication and it can disrupt your life. So I think we have to be very, very careful about making light of emotions and really name it to tame it. If you're suffering from anxiety, don't say, oh, I'm just stressed. Don't say, I'm just kiasu. If you're really anxiety, let's look at the symptoms of anxiety, look at the definition, and then assess whether you are indeed suffering from anxiety. And if you are, what can you do about it? So there are really different kinds of anxiety out there. There's social anxiety. There's a general anxiety disorder. There's an agoraphobia, the fear of being in a place where you can't escape. There's even a whole list of anxieties, even a panic disorder. This is also considered anxiety. So this whole list of anxieties that I'm listing out shows how serious it is a condition that we must pay attention to.
Right. How about an example of if I'm worried about, okay, we take the bubble tea, the most recent bubble tea. So the moment it was announced bubble tea is not no longer selling, right? We have some people that rush down, worried that they will not have any bubble tea for 1 month. Is that considered anxiety?
Yeah. I don't want to be too quick to judge and laugh about it and make trivial. I mean, for all you know, it could be nothing to me or you, but it could be a source of anxiety to others, because maybe it's a source of great happiness and maybe even a form of a mild addiction to them. So if I don't have my bubble tea, I cannot function. And you might be right. It could be a form of anxiety. If I don't have it for protracted periods of time, it could affect my daily functionings. I don't know. The same reason that people suffer anxiety when something might be small to you, but because of lived experiences, you have the history, or the combination of the genetic makeup, it could be a source of serious anxiety to them, but completely nothing to you.
Right, right. So how do we identify small symptoms for those people who are around us to identify it earlier so that, or even ourselves as an individual? I believe there are people who are going through anxiety or they have this issue, but they are unaware. There are these kind of people, right?
Yeah, they are unaware. I think it's because they don't recognize the symptoms or they think that they are able enough to get over it. So some of the symptoms you can look out for when it requires attention is your physiological functions. So we are starting to lose sleep, okay, number one, or we are having trouble eating, a loss of appetite. We have trouble focusing, even concentrating. And lastly, if it's the slightest things makes you a bit edgy and irritable, and this goes on for a period of 2 weeks, minimum 2 weeks or more, you might want to get some medical attention and have someone look at it.
Right, right. But when we talk about medical attention, it doesn't mean medications that we eat, right? It means to seek professional help, seeking people like you.
Well, it could be both. It could be both. Usually in the space of psychology, psychiatrists and counselors kind of work hand in hand. The psychiatrist dispenses the medication, and he says, "Okay, Desmond, I think you're suffering from mild depression. I'm gonna just give you some pills now to help you with your serotonin levels in your brain, kind of bring it down. But on your own, giving you the medicine is not enough. I'd like you to work with a counselor and see how they can use certain counseling approaches to make you calm down and so that could complement the medicine I'm working with you." So my answer is that you can't work with the psychiatrist if it comes to a point where you need medication, and then also the counselor. And it really depends on the condition. If you go to a counselor like me, and I recognize your symptoms are affecting your daily functionings, I will say, Desmond, I think you should see a psychiatrist and get the right medication, and then you come back to me and we see how we can work together with the psychiatrist. Or you could also go to the psychiatrist directly and say, I'm suffering from this. I need some medication to get to my sleep back. Then the psychiatrist might say, well, okay, I think I'm going to diagnose you with this certain condition, but please see a counselor. So it can go either way.
Right, right. All right, viewers, I think at this point of time, if you have any questions relating to anxiety, depression, or any other form of mental well-being questions, please feel free to ask James. He's here. He's ready to answer your questions. I'm ready to put your questions up. So please feel free. Don't be shy. Just type into our comments and then we will pull up your questions, right? Yeah. So James, now back to the question on anxiety and what do we have to do, right? How or what do you recommend for our viewers in this period? Because why I'm asking that is because mental well-being, or I would say that part of the industry has already been put under non-essential. So if we have people around us that is going through a depression and they can't go to a GP and say that, hey, I need counseling because counselors and psychiatrists, they are already part of the non-essentials and they are not allowed to go back to office to attend to their patients, right? So how or what do you recommend the viewers to do in this time to bridge this gap?
Well, it depends on the severity of the situation. If you are going through a very serious case of a emotional breakdown when you feel like you're gonna harm yourself or harm others, the first thing you can do is that you have to check yourself into the A&E department of any hospital. But your question really is, if you're not even at that to that extent, what do you do on your own, right? If you don't even not that extreme, what do you do? Well, I think first of all, you could really take some breathing exercises, deep breathing exercises to calm yourself down. And what the breathing exercises does is that it makes you focus on the present. You focus on the sound of your breath going in and then breathing out through your nose. And you do that 10 to 20 times. Now that's a bit of a stopgap measure that you can do on your own because that helps you focus on the present and it helps you say, okay, I think I'm going through an anxiety attack perhaps, but I'm going to do these deep breathing exercises now so I can calm down perhaps and then reach a point where I can decide the next move. So I think there's viewers out there who are going through an episode where they feel that they have to do something, yet they can't stay still. They feel like they're about to maybe implode inside out of anxiety. Reading is one good way to cope for the moment. The second thing they could do is that there are a few hotlines out there, the National Care Counseling hotlines, and you need someone to talk to. Now, I want people not to underestimate the power of talking. It's not so much you talking, but the power of you being listened to. Yeah, and that's actually why I call my practice Listen Without Prejudice. There are a lot of people out there, despite their best intentions, Desmond, when you tell them your problems, they tend to say things like, oh, just sleep over it, or, don't think too much, things will get better soon. But these comments, do they really work? Do they really make you feel better? Yeah. And they don't. And I tell you why. They don't make you feel better because you don't feel you're being listened to. You feel like your anxiety or whether depression or emotions that you're suffering are invisible to your friends. So really what you want to do is you want to be made visible. You want to be seen. You want to be heard. And one thing you could do is just call a free hotline and get someone to listen to you and talk all you want. And that's one way, besides reading, you can feel heard, you can feel listened.
Right. So is to get it out of us. So we can also talk to a friend, right? You were saying call which hotline?
You can call a few counseling hotlines out there. They're run by local charities. You can just do a Google search on them. Of course, SOS is one of them. But these hotlines are important in the sense that because you can't see anyone face to face due to the circuit breaker rules, having someone to listen to you, and it's also healing in itself.
Right. All right. So viewers, you heard it. You can call hotlines, or you can even call your friends. Am I right? We can call our friends, right? I mean, then go through a Zoom, and it helps, does it?
Well, you can call your friends, but my concern is that our friends and our loved ones, as much as they care for us and they love us, they don't always have the best tools to address your fears. So they can end up being sensitive. So Desmond, for example, if you're having a bad day with your wife and you talk to me and say, "Hey James, let's go have a beer," and I'll say something, "Hey, really, I'm not free, and really I don't think you should be having a beer, and you probably are so insensitive to your wife. Maybe you should just go back and apologize when you feel better." Now, how would you feel if I say that to you?
Right. So you would definitely feel that, oh, it's another person just pushing me away.
And I'm your friend. I'm supposed to help you, but I end up hurting you instead. So what I'm saying is that people don't know how to show empathy. It's not they don't care, but they don't know how to. So the best way to feel empathized is to call a professional and call a hotline, and you get the sense of objectivity, and you also get empathy, and you feel listened.
Right. Speaking of which, I think in a reverse mode, so if someone were to call me, and it always happens, when we receive a call, like what you mentioned earlier, Pat, you say that relax, don't kanchong, all these are very common terms used. So if we were to tell someone going through anxiety, and because we are not professional enough to actually identify the symptoms, and we start telling them, no, it's really okay, no, I've gone through it, it's normal, relax now, these are not helpful ways of helping, right?
It's not at all. In fact, I say it actually exacerbates the situation. I've had clients who come to me and say that, I'm here to talk to a professional because my friends are telling me to cool off and chill out, and actually that makes me feel worse. And really, it's no fault of your friends, despite their best intentions, because we humans in general are very uncomfortable with people confronting their vulnerabilities with us. We're not used to that. We're not used to having a friend that we kind of have fun with saying, I just cried yesterday and I feel like I want to just end it all. It makes you feel very uncomfortable for a friend to say that to you. So your response coming forth in that discomfort comes off as insensitive.
Right, I see. Okay, so now we have someone commenting. Karen, hi. Oh, Leslie. Hi, Leslie. Hello. Sorry, it's we respond a bit late.
I see your thanks, Leslie. What's your question, Leslie?
Leslie has not asked the question just yet. Leslie, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But we have Karen. Karen have how do we deal with conflict in the home? Yes. At home now, everyone is together. There's bound to be a lot of conflict. So how do we deal with it?
Yes, it's a good question. This is also a very difficult question. And I mean, it's not a difficult question. It's a difficult situation to be in, and because of the circuit breaker and how we are not allowed to go out, you can create more tension when in a home that already has tension. And I want to talk about the issue of boundaries. Now, everyone has their own boundaries. When I say boundaries, I'm talking about the emotional boundaries that we have around ourselves. If you are, that's when you are a father, right?
Yep, I am. Yes.
In a home, you have that. I have a boundary of a father that I draw around me, and as the children, you cannot talk to me in a certain way because I'm your father. You cannot cross this boundary. Okay,
Right.
so that's an example of a boundary. Now, in your home, there's this physical boundary, but there's also an emotional boundary embedded within that physical boundary. So when you're stuck at home and you're not allowed to go out, and you're living with someone who you have tensions with, not only are your physical boundaries being encroached upon, your emotional boundaries are also being encroached upon. And when they are encroached, tension rises and there'll be more unhappiness, even resentment. So that's what's happening in a lot of homes. And in fact, if you look at Aware and MSF, they are both reporting increasing calls of women calling their hotlines, reporting domestic violence. Yeah,
Right.
Because their husbands, and I'm assuming it's the men that are abusing their wives, or it could be the other way around. But because of circuit breaker rules, they are forced to stay at home. This also increases the cases of domestic violence. And even if there were no domestic violence in homes that already had tensions, you have boundaries, physical boundaries being encroached upon. And because you're not allowed to go out, these boundaries kind of cross and you mesh, and then tensions rise. So this is something that we really have to be careful about.
Right. But how do we deal with it? When you say boundary, do we obviously we are not asking them to lock themselves in the room and stuff like this. Yeah, I mean when we say boundary to teenagers, sometimes there is I think it's very normal for the kids. Oh, this is my boundary. I close the door. I shut myself in. I don't like my dad at this age. Teenagers going through. Not that my kids don't like. They love me. I love them. Right? Yeah, but we went through that stage as well. I went through it even without COVID when I was young. I locked myself in the room because I didn't like to talk to my mom. So how do we deal with it? Is that the right way to deal with it?
I gotta say, Desmond, this is an unprecedented crisis that we're having in Singapore. Never have we had to lock ourselves at our homes ever like that before. So I don't have the absolute right answer to this. But what I can say is that in a space where there's already so much tension, I think we have to kind of further draw our boundaries and have some kind of breathing space before we come out of that boundaries again to have dinner. So I think we really have to find our own little safe haven in that space. If we can get out of the house and do some essential services and maybe buy some groceries, which is an essential service, let's do that. But having to stay in a home where there are really tensions and boundaries being crossed and matched, it's a bit of a scary situation to be in. And I really do hope that this circuit breaker ends soon, and psychology, face-to-face services, and counseling services actually becomes an essential, because people need time to leave their homes and to kind of draw new boundaries and kind of heal. And then when they can heal and when they can speak to a counselor or psychologist face-to-face, that really helps when they go back to their home and they feel more listened to and more relieved. So I really wish that the essential services to include face-to-face counseling, because there's really a lot of unprecedented situations here that are increasing our risk of our mental health. Right.
So it's really about a safe haven that one can actually create in their current living condition, the space that they are in. Yeah, for them to
and also leave that safe haven on the pretext of carrying out an essential service. That also helps.
Right. Or carry out essential services, or how about volunteering to do works, charity? Does that help them smoothen their, because they're like some people, they are going through very difficult times at home, but they are given the opportunity to go out to do volunteer works and for charities and stuff like this. So they get to go out. That's one. I think the second one is that they get to contribute back to the society. Do you think that will further help them emotionally?
Well, helping others in your time of need is always a good way to heal, because it takes attention away from you. That's one. But there's also something to be said about being in the right time and the right place to do that. Because if you are really crippled by fear and anxiety, the last thing you want to think about is helping other people.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, what you want is really attention for yourself. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I need the help here. I don't have time to help someone else. So it really depends on the level of anxiety and depression. But generally, yes, helping other people when you are in a difficult situation can take the attention away from your troubles.
Right, right.
But
Okay,
they still
so
need to be addressed, though.
yeah. All right. Following up a little bit on Karen's question. So since she's asking about the staying at home part, so I just want to ask, how can someone be affected psychologically during this COVID-19? We know there's so many things ongoing: economy, job losses, lives lost, relatives passing away in this point of time, and even a relative when they pass away, not because of COVID, the funeral and everything has to be limited to 10. So there's really a lot of difference in lives that, like what you said, taken away. So everyone is grieving all this. Yeah.
Yes. So,
Yeah,
and
so
your question is,
how can one be affected psychologically during this COVID?
let me give you an example through a story. I actually attended a funeral 2 weeks ago. A friend of mine, a close friend of mine, passed away. She died of cancer, and I was not allowed to go to the hospital to see her, and neither was I allowed to go to the funeral. I wouldn't say I was not allowed. I was kind of discouraged because of the social distance rules.
Okay.
So I feel like today, it's been 2 weeks since her cremation. I feel like she's still alive today. I feel like I haven't had a chance to properly grieve her loss. And it's very surreal. There's been the feeling of having see the coffin via Zoom enter the furnace, but not being there physically. And I feel like because I wasn't there and I saw everything via Zoom, it feels like she's still alive today. And I think the reason why I feel this way is because I wasn't allowed to grieve at the funeral. Not only was I not allowed to grieve personally at the funeral, my grief wasn't witnessed by anyone because I was at home looking at the funeral via Zoom.
Right.
So to answer your question, how are we affected psychologically? I think that this whole business of staying home, not attending funerals physically, it doesn't allow us to have our anxieties and our depressions and our grief witnessed. They can't be witnessed. And when they're not witnessed, we cannot heal. And why do we need to be witnessed? Because humans are wired for connection. And I'm not talking about Zoom connections or StreamYard connections or WhatsApp connections. I'm talking about real-time, face-to-face connections. And that's what COVID-19, the pandemic, is doing to us, Desmond. It's robbing us of this human connection via funerals to the point that the parents of the dead child could not even hold each other's hands when the coffee went through the furnace. How do you expect a parent to grieve properly when they can't even sit next to each other at the funeral? So the grieving process, the ability to witness and having our emotions witness have all been stripped away from us.
Right. So that's why this COVID is not just disabling our economy. It's not just disabling or affecting health. It's really disabling a lot of our mental well-being, right?
Yes, and I'm concerned that despite the resilience package the government has rolled out, and I really congratulate the government for doing that, but I feel that despite the losses of jobs and well-beings, the mental health that suffered from these job losses are not quite being addressed. And I want to just draw you some statistics for you, okay? The mental health of Singapore. Now, these are the mental health statistics of Singapore before COVID-19. In 1998, there were 10% more of mental health conditions, and then it went up to 12% in 2007. There were 12% cases in 2010, it went up to 13.9 today. Now, in the IMH 2018 study, 1 in 7 people in Singapore have experienced a mental disorder. 1 in 7, okay? And we're talking about major depressive disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, and general anxiety disorder, as well as alcohol user-related disorders. Now, more than 3/4 with a mental disorder in their lifetime did not seek professional help. And yet, the government only spends 3% of our healthcare operating expenditure in financial year 2017 on mental health, compared to 11% to diabetes. Now, this information is public, and it was shared by NMP On Ong in a speech for the budget statement debate entitled Advancing as One Singapore in 26 February. So these are the statistics that want to kind of show that we have a growing mental health crisis before us, and this before COVID-19, okay? Yeah.
Right.
So can you imagine what it's like going to be like now and even after?
So it is truly something that we have to be worried about, and
we have
yeah,
been. I'm going to just tell you one more quick thing, okay, to your listeners out there.
Yep.
These are statistics and reported statistics. In 2018, the number of elderly aged 60 and above took their own lives peaked at 129. Never has there been more elderly suicides than in 2018. In the report in the Straits Times, July 2019, the number of teenage boys taking their own lives reached a record high in 2017. Okay, 19 boys aged 10 to 19 committed suicide in the year 2018. It's the highest ever. And then, of course, we have more increase in calls in domestic violence and conflicts received by MSF and the social service agencies due to COVID-19. So can you see where we are going with this? How the trajectory is kind of moving outwards in terms of mental health spikes?
Right. But I think to be fair, when we talk about the spike and everything, or even the low percentage of people that you mentioned are seeking professional help, I'm just wondering, could there be people who just find that it's a shame to be visiting a psychologist, it's a shame to be visiting a counselor? I think
there's a stigma, but I think it has come to a point that mental health cannot be hidden anymore. It has to be as serious as diabetes. It has to be as serious as getting a heart attack or even a checkup for a stroke. So it is a stigma. I'm not sure why, but perhaps one reason is because in mental health you can't see the condition, unlike breaking an arm or having a lung rupture.
Right.
Because you can't see, and the manifestations of an unseen illness can be so scary. There could be a lot of misunderstanding about it. And I think that to reduce the stigma, and yes, there is a stigma to seeing a counselor and getting psychiatry help, but to reduce the stigma, we have to make visible the illness. We have to make visible access to mental health help. I think by doing so and by not being afraid of this, okay, we can perhaps reduce the stigma and make accessibility to counseling and psychiatry more normal, like seeing a dentist for a wisdom tooth extraction. Right.
So what are your recommendations for people who they know they are going through something, right? But they are unsure, but they don't want to go straight into to visit IMH to say, or to visit the clinic where I say, oh, I might be suffering from this, I might be suffering from that, because I'll be honest, in the environment that we are in, whether be there's COVID or there's non-COVID situation, right? The moment you say that, hey, I'm feeling depressed, the moment I say that, hey, I'm not feeling good, I'm feeling down, I need counseling, the first thing everyone around starts to judge. I'm not sure whether you agree with this, and I believe that is something that causes people not to step out of their comfort zone to visit, to find the necessary help. But what are your recommendations for people who know that they are going through certain small little things and they can subtly approach counselors or clinics, Well,
I think people in the helping profession, whether it's counselors or psychiatrists or even doctors, I would like to think that we have a natural sense of empathy. Yeah, and when we have a sense of empathy, we don't judge you for feeling ill and approaching us for help. So that is something we all have to have in the helping profession, that sense of empathy in the helping profession. I think that people who are not in the helping profession also might be useful to have a sense of empathy. And empathy is the ability to feel your situation without actually experiencing it. And when you have a sense of empathy, you also develop a sense of sensitivity and humility in not judging you.
Right.
However, having said that, empathy is not so readily available in everyone. Some people just have less of it, and some people have maybe close to nothing. They don't have actually very little empathy. So what I would suggest is that if we don't have empathy, can we at least be curious? I think we need to be curious. We need to have a sense of curiosity about people. So if you were to come to me and say, hey, James, I think I'm feeling this way, I'm not going to immediately judge you for, oh, that's because you haven't been taking care of yourself. You don't know how to relax and therefore you're feeling anxious. It's all your fault. So if I'm judgmental, I can very easily say that to you or even say that to myself. But if I'm curious, I could end up saying, hey, Desmond, why are you feeling this? Why are you feeling this way? And that sense of curiosity will allow you to be more casual into talking to me without feeling judged. So I'm going to say, for people who are not in the helping profession and you get approached by someone who's feeling anxious or depressed, start with a sense of curiosity. I think that's the most basic and first step that we can take.
Right. Having that curiosity. Okay. Now, in this situation, in the current situation that we are in, a lot of parents are out there and then their kids are at home and everything, going through home-based learning and stuff. So I believe there's two sets of people that has this kind of anxiety. I think first thing first are the teachers who are not so tech savvy. I think they go through something, a very huge change. And the other group, it will be the young children. We don't talk about maybe the secondary school or the youths, they are very tech savvy, but there are little children that parents have not given them technology ever since they were young, because there's this stigma that, no, I'm not going to give you technology until you are like primary 6 and stuff like this. So there is a form of anxiety in these two groups, right?
Yeah. There's anxiety. I hear, if I hear you right, I think there's anxiety on conforming to what everyone else is doing. Am I hearing you right?
Yeah, in a way, because everyone else is doing it, but I struggle to do it. And take for example, a teacher's messing up the lesson because she's not so tech savvy. She has to call all her friends, call the IT and stuff, can't even log in, they're feeling stressed. And then the same for the children, they forget password, they don't know how to use, they don't know how to upload the picture onto the
I hear you. I think we have to be more forgiving of ourselves, and I think we have to understand that it's okay to say that we don't have all the answers in our lives, because we're so desperate to belong, to feel belong, that we have to fit in. We have to be like everyone else, to be tech savvy. That can be very stressful to you, because I don't belong there and therefore I feel I'm not good enough. So it is okay to feel like you don't know, and it's okay to say that I don't have that technical expertise, and it's okay that I don't know, and I'm going to be comfortable with that, but I'm going to know and someone can teach me. And just because I don't know doesn't make me feel lesser than anyone else. It just makes me feel challenged, because we all of us are going through this, not just me. All of us are learning this. There's always a first for everyone. It's always a first for everyone, especially during this pandemic. So I think we have to be more forgiving, more compassionate, and be able to be vulnerable, not in a weak way, but to be vulnerable and be courageous enough to say, I don't have the answers, okay? I don't have to be perfect, but today is not about me being perfect, but I'm going to find out, and I don't have to live up to expectations. I'm going to find out, and it's okay for not to belong, and that's fine, but I'm going to find out. So what I'm doing here is that I'm getting you to understand and embrace your vulnerabilities, to also lower your expectations, to say, you're not alone in this, you're not perfect, but it's okay. It's okay, you'll get there somehow.
Right. So viewers, if you're watching this now or later, or you're watching the replay, yes, I think James had mentioned, it's okay to feel vulnerable, to be vulnerable, accept it, and then find ways to move forward rather than staying in a self-pity mode, right? Is that not? That means not to say
anymore. I think we put a lot of our stress on ourselves, and being in Singapore, we have this incessant need to feel belong. Okay, we incessant need to feel accepted, to fit in. If my parents are doing that, if other teachers are doing that, I should also do that. If I don't do that, I don't feel belong. So I think there's an unspoken need to feel belong, and to kind of chase that race, that I have to be part of this group. But what I'm saying is that you don't have to. Let's get off that racehorse for now, and just be comfortable with what you don't know, and that's okay too. You'll find a way in your own time and space. Because if you continue chasing other people's and feeling the need to be accepted and to fit in, I don't know how long you're going to sustain yourself.
Okay. Right, right. All right. So before we move on to the next question that I have for James, viewers, please, if you're watching this, share the video, share our live feed, get people who who are going through difficulties, get them to come in to ask questions. James is here ready to answer all the questions that you're about to throw to us. Right. Yep. So now, James, back to you. I want to find out from you. In terms of Singapore, how do you think Singapore is faring in the current fight against this COVID? In terms of maybe what the government is doing, in terms of what the people of the nation is doing?
I think in Singapore, and once again, I'm going to speak in my capacity as an independent counsellor, not as an economist or a politician. Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely.
I think in terms of how we are coping in the space of mental health, I don't think we are quite there yet. I think one good example is how the circuit breaker showed that mental health is still not a priority even now. So I think we are not ready to be vulnerable in facing mental health and kind of taking it head on and accepting mental health for what it is. I don't think we are there yet. If we were there, we would be not afraid to talk about it. We'd be not afraid to allocate more resources to mental health. And I think that we can do better in this area. We need to be more vulnerable to say things like, we don't know what mental health is like. It's scary, but let us make it a priority so we can find out more. And that's okay. Let's not be frightened by what we don't know. In fact, let's be okay with not knowing and work better at it.
Right, right. So it's okay to not know it and then be better at it.
Yes, and I think we need to be brave in that area, because if you want to make mental health a priority, you have to really embrace it for what it is. The anxieties, right. the schizophrenia, the panic attacks, everything that's part of, and it's no different from any other disease. You got to kind of accept it and look at it for what it's worth, and then put your resources and make it a priority. Because your mental health is your health. How is it different from your physical health? Why should we not make it a priority as well?
Yeah, I see. All right. Yeah. So how about the two, because this COVID has really drawn out two sets of people. I think not just in Singapore, we talk about Asia, we talk about the world itself. Drawn out two sets of people from my observation. Would be one group is very united, and they will support a lot of things that the government has rolled out, or the people has rolled out, organization has rolled out to fight the pandemic, whether be it throwing in money or doing delivery, doing free services and stuff. Another set of people will be those that are so badly affected, whether be it they are affected directly or indirectly, but they have this grudge that, hey, someone has to bear responsibility, and they really hold it so badly that they cannot move on. Yeah. So this is my observation, right? So how do you see of this observation that I have made?
Can you explain to me the second group? What do you mean by bear responsibility?
So because they are bearing this grudge that, hey, someone has to bear responsibility of the COVID-19, or someone has to bear responsibility on how the government is going to run.
You mean like take accountability?
Yes. In everything. They want someone to hold responsibility before they can move forward. And if no one steps out to make responsibility, they will always be like, oh no, this is bad, it should have been this, it should have been that, they can't get out and move forward.
I think two groups although they have different behaviors, they do have one thing in common. I think they're both frightened, they're both suffering from fear, and we respond to fear differently. So the first group responds to fear by helping others, and then maybe perhaps makes them feel better. The other group is also fearful, and they end up blaming, and maybe that's their way of coping with fear. So what we're seeing here is really how people are coping differently, but they all have a common sense of there's a commonality, and that is they're both afraid of the situation, and just that they are coping differently.
Right. So it's fight or flight kind of thing.
Is it fight or flight? In terms of
the form of reaction.
Yeah, I don't know whether the helping part falls into the fight, flight, or freeze response. I'm not sure if that is a good example here, but I do see that both groups are both frightened and they are responding in their own way. One is responding. I can't say whether one is better than the other, because if one says that you need to take accountability for it, they could be coming from that place of authenticity, and their value system is very much based on fairness and justice. And so you operate in your own value system, and the response comes from that value system. If the first group ends up helping people, their value system could be that of benevolence, and kindness. And so they operate from that value system. So it's very hard for me to say that one value system is better than the other, or one response is better than the other.
Right. But the common thing is fear.
The common thing is fear, and they both have different value systems, and they are both coping in a way that is based on that value system.
Right. I definitely agree, because I'll be honest with you. I mean, since the viewers are here as well, you are here. Resilience series was started also because of fear. I mean, now that you mentioned fear, and then I start to think back, I started this because of fear, because I was worried that, Success Media has nothing to do. We are just going to be quiet for 2 months, no production, no nothing. We're just going to disappear from thin air, But yet at the same time, when I know that I need to do something in this fearful mode, I need to do something meaningful. I need to do something that value adds to the society. And that's how this thing. Yes, I definitely agree. Now that you mentioned, oh my goodness, you enlighten me, my friend.
We are all living in a fearful society, and we are all showing fear from the top levels of society down to the lowest level of society. It just have different ways of showing it. I would like to say that, yes, we're all fearful. Some of us are less are not so keen to admit it, but it is quite clear to me that they're responding from a place of fear.
Right. Okay. Now, having fear in all of us, but there's something common, or there's something that I know everyone can try to do, which is to stay positive. I don't dare to say that I'm the most positive person. I mean, I whine with not whine, but I tell my partners the difficulties that I have, the struggles that we have. We share with each other. I share with my wife, I share with my business partner, I share with close friends. But how can viewers stay positive in this current situation? What would you encourage people to do?
I think you just said I think you just gave your own answer. That's when you will operate from a place of vulnerability too. I like what you said. You said that, yes, I'm fearful. I don't know where this business is going to, but I'm not going to lie to my business partners. I'm not going to lie to my wife. I'm going to share with them my true concerns and my true fears. And what you're saying is that, yes, I'm afraid, but I'm really doing the best I can. Isn't that right?
Yep. You're right. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what you just displayed, Desmond, you displayed a sense of vulnerability, not in the sense of you being weak, but in the sense of you being brave to embody the uncertainties of the future and saying that these are my uncertainties. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do the best I can. And that's what you have done. So the same, I would like to share this with all the viewers out there. Be okay. Be okay if you don't feel positive today. You can feel better today to tomorrow. Be okay with your vulnerabilities, and somehow, day by day, take it one day at a time. Okay? Not everything is a Hollywood or Netflix movie that when you wake up in the morning, the sun is going to shine and everything's going to be better. Not everything is going to be made better by singing a few songs. That's the reality of life. But let's take one day at a time. If you can't take one day at a time, take it 1 hour at a time. If you can't take 1 hour at a time, do it 30 minutes at a time. And this is why I call trying to live in the present and not thinking too far ahead. Because thinking too far ahead is really what anxiety is.
Right. Oh, speaking of singing, we had a whole Singapore sing yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah. So I hope to hear from you. What do you think of that campaign that is being run?
Well, I think it was a wonderful initiative. I think one of my friends was behind it. I think it lifts the spirit. But I don't think songs alone would really address people who are suffering from mental health conditions. It's like a balm that you apply on your skin so it feels better, but are you really addressing the wounds and the bacteria underneath the wounds? So a song is nice. There's nothing wrong with songs and singing. I think that's lovely. But I think if you really want to heal the wounds, we got to confront our vulnerabilities. I
see. Okay, great. So, coming close to an end. I want to hear from you. What is your current greatest wish?
My greatest wish in my capacity as a counselor is that for all those who are listening here, either right now or in the on-demand service, anyone who's suffering from anxiety and depression, yeah.
Yep, keep going. Don't worry.
You are not alone. Remember this: you are not alone. Okay, it will pass. And third thing is that it's okay not to be okay. 3 things.
Right. So it's okay not to be okay.
Number one is not to be okay. Number 2, it will pass. Number 3, what was the third one? I forget.
It's okay not to be okay.
It will pass. And the third one is, I forget. Oh, you are not alone.
Right. We are all not alone. But
my greatest wish is for people, anyone suffering from a mental condition, that they remember these 3 things. You are not alone. Oh, you're back. Okay.
I'm back.
It's okay not to be okay, and it will pass. It will pass.
Right. It will
I don't know when, but it will. Okay, it will.
Right. Okay, but that's not your wish, right?
It's my wish for other people who are suffering.
How about yourself?
Myself. My wish is really for mental health to be seen as something as normal and as common as going to the dentist. I want it to be normalized. I want people to say, oh, I'm going to see a counselor today. And then people will think, oh, okay, I'll see you after your counseling then. I'll have coffee with you after that. My wish is for it to be normalized. I want the people with the resources to make it a priority, not for my sake, all of us, because any one of us is not invincible to mental health conditions. And even if you're not inflicted with mental health conditions, our loved ones and our families, our relatives could be. So my wish is for it to be a priority in Singapore.
Right. If I can make a wish together with you, I think my wish was definitely for it, even during this circuit breaker, for mental well-being, the industry and this sector to actually be one of the essentials, because that's the reason why I got you onto our show, because there's something I strongly believe in, that mental well-being is very and extremely important.
And it has to be important because they need to be seen, they need to be heard. They can't be covered up, they can't be made not a priority anymore. We need to bring them out so that they can be seen and heard and be treated with dignity and humility.
Right. Okay, just before I ask you, before we close, I'm curious, if we get people to listen to songs and sing along with us, I mean, we know yesterday we had the whole nation coming together, but if we just have a simple sing song session, or you listen to songs that you like, is this a way to help emotionally to go through this 1 month?
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for music therapy, but music therapy is important. Listening to the songs that you like, and it can be a form of calming your senses. But if the source of your mental health is not addressed, then music will only be seen as a distraction for the moment. You got to really look at the source of anxiety, and sometimes you do need to seek professional help to get someone to really uncover the source of anxiety. What are you afraid of? What are you truly afraid of? Don't tell me you're afraid of losing the job. Or what does the job mean to you? Is that what your true fear is? The loss of your job because the job means this to you. So you need really professional help to uncover the true fear, the true source of the fear. And sometimes when you're so saddled with your own emotions, you cannot do that. You need someone to help you do that. And that's when the professionals will come in to do that for you.
Right. So music can only be a stopgap measure before, but they still need to go for a long run therapy or to solve the problem for the long run, identify it.
Time and place for music therapy, let's put it that way. But I think more importantly, we have to look at the source of your anxiety and depression. Yeah.
Right. I'm asking this because tomorrow we have a guest, and the guest is going to sing.
Oh, I think I saw that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Viewers, I think tonight we hope you had a great session. It's a bit very theory wise, very serious topic, because this is something that both James and I feel has to be the priority now, so that in the long run we don't have that number of suicide rate. I think, James, we haven't even touched on the part where all this anxiety might lead to increased rate of suicide. Maybe we'll just extend a little bit more. I would just like to hear from you. Are there
suicides? I just case out statistics on suicide, which are rising among the elderly and teenage boys. But I don't think that suicide is the be-all and end-all. I think even before you talk about suicide, the actual suffering of anxiety and depression in your day-to-day can sometimes arguably be worse than death itself, than suicide.
Right.
When the circuit breaker says that you can only come and see face-to-face psychologists and counselors only when you have self-harm or harm to others, I'm not sure if I agree with that, because sometimes it can be too late by then. And the daily suffering that you that you experience in anxiety, where you're so fidgety, you can't sleep, you're so irritable, your mind is all foggy, that is torture in itself, and that something has to be treated. So let's not even talk about suicide. The day-to-day handlings and your manifestations and your lived experiences of anxiety and depression have to be spoken out. They have to be made visible and heard.
Right. All right. So Karen says thank you. She has been with us. Thank you so much, Karen. We hope you enjoyed the time with us, and we hope that whatever we have shared, or more of James. I'm just being the parrot and echoing whatever James have said. So we hope James have enlightened all the viewers and given more insights to how important mental well-being, managing anxiety, and stopgap measures for depression, all these things. So James, thank you so much for your time with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we are very, very glad and honored to have you. So yeah. Okay.
Stay safe, everyone. Stay safe.
Yes. You have anything to say to the viewers? Before you take your leave? Anything?
Sure. One last thing. 3 things, and I'll repeat that again. Number 1, it's okay not to be okay.
It's okay not to be okay.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Number 3, it will pass.
It will pass. So viewers, remember that. All right. Thank you, James.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. All right. Yes. So there we have extended, gone beyond an hour. So thank you for all those who have stayed with us. We really hope that you have, like what I mentioned, gotten more insights and if you have any questions or if you need any help, please feel free to contact us so that we can link you up with James. You can go straight to Listen Without Prejudice Facebook. So make sure that it is the one in Singapore. Contact James if you need help. If you have friends, that they need help, that they are going through so many difficulties, finding a job and everything. You see that they are going down, depression, feeling depressed, anxiety, overly worried and stuff like this. I don't think we can help in a way where we can give you the immediate solution to get a job or anything. But I think in terms of mental well-being, James definitely can come in to help. All right. So tomorrow, who do we have? We have our guest, Morgan Law. He is a freelance guitarist and singer, and we're going to lighten up the mood a little on Success Video Asia. Come in, join us, sing with us, sing along with us. He's a very, very good Cantonese song singer. So if you love Cantonese songs, come in. He'll be playing the guitar. I won't be singing. I won't be singing. So that's for sure. So he will be singing. Yep, come in, join us tomorrow. And yes, so Desmond, host of Successpedia Asia's Journey to Success Resilience series. Signing out. Good night.